Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
Welcome to Ballot Battleground Nevada. I'm your host, Ben Marjat, a reporter at KRNV News 4 in Reno. I'm passionate about making politics in this critical battleground state more digestible to the average voter and pushing past the talking points to press politicians for answers. On this show, we take deep dives into the people, ideas, and debates shaping Silver State politics. It's day 10 of the federal government shutdown, and it seems Congress is not close to coming together to reopen the government. Amid the partisan standoff between Republicans and Democrats in D.C., we got the chance to sit down one-on-one with Representative Mark Amodei, the Republican representing Northern Nevada in the U.S. House of Representatives. Instead of waiting to include it in next week's show, we wanted to bring it to you here as a short bonus episode. We talked to Amodei about why he opposes extending the healthcare subsidies at the center of this fight, whether he supports the effort to make sure military members are paid, and whether he would call out Republican leadership for continuing to use, quote, highly misleading talking points about illegal immigrants. Here's our interview recorded Friday morning in Reno. All right, Representative Mark Amodei joining us in person in studio on day 10 here of the federal government shutdown. How come you're allowed to be in your district here in Nevada instead of in Washington, D.C. in the middle of all this? And what's the latest as far as you're hearing?
We are officially on constituent work period this week. And the reason that the House isn't in Washington is because we were told produce a short-term funding bill that is clean. No political poison pill riders, stuff like that. I forget what the date is, but we passed that and sent it to the Senate 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, anyhow, in time to avoid a shutdown. And the Senate hasn't, it's like, well, just because the House passed it doesn't mean the Senate's got to like it. But they haven't, you need 60 votes for these kind of things in the Senate, and they haven't gotten 60 votes for anything yet. So when you say, well, why aren't you back there? It's like, well, I could be back there saying, well, I'm here on duty, ready, waiting for the Senate to send something over. But it's like, listen, we're doing regular constituent work week stuff. We're seeing people that we've been trying to get on the calendar before we had some of this. We're dealing with constituent issues that need work to the extent we can with federal agencies that are or aren't processing or what they're doing. So, I mean, there's plenty to do.
Sure.
But we're not in D.C. That's absolutely true.
If they were close to coming to some sort of deal or agreement, you probably wouldn't be here, right? Like, is that a sign that we're not close to coming together, both sides?
Well, we were told, we'll give you 48 hours notice from when we want you to come back. And so I would think your question is, hey, if they think they're getting close and it looks like, then we'd be given the thing of you got 48 hours. So if that happened today, Friday, so it's like you got to be back Sunday by 6:30.
Yeah.
But obviously, that ain't, well, the Senate's home now till, I think, Tuesday, the day after Indigenous Columbus Day. So in all likelihood, going on probably 2 weeks. The crux of this shutdown really centering on the Affordable Care Act subsidies. We talked about this in a press call with Representative Emmer last week, but for a new audience today, just kind of tell us again why you're opposed to extending the Affordable Care Act subsidies looks like there are about 25,000 people in this congressional district, 2 here in Nevada, enrolled in the various ACA marketplaces. About 3% of your constituents would be affected by this. Well, 3 or 4 things, which is, first of all, I'm not opposed to talking about it. But remember, this started in reconciliation, where there were cuts made in reconciliation to who gets a subsidy and who doesn't. Now, remember, the subsidies go to the insurance companies. The coverage goes to the insured. So when you're sitting here talking about this and it's like, well, how do you qualify? What's the verification stuff? Part of the reason that those got in question is because the previous administration was just saying, come one, come all. There was no, hey, you got to meet these criteria, blah, 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 blah. We just want to get everybody on health care that we can. Not a bad idea. But what it boils down to is this. Those don't go away until the end of the year. And I get what the guys on the other side are doing. It's like, this is our first crossroads where we have the 60 vote requirement. So as the minority, this is our first chance to try to repeal some provisions of the big, beautiful bill. Fair enough. That's not the end of the world either. But it's like, you're going to basically shut the government down because you want it done now and not have the ability to keep things going. And by the way, if they'd have voted on this one, it expires in November. So it's not like it's your one and only shot, blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of stuff where it's like, oh my God, it's healthcare. And it's like, well, yeah, it is healthcare. But if you really want to talk about the cost of healthcare, we need to have that discussion, and we should. And it's bad that we're haven't had it yet. So if they want to use this to lever it for, here's what I want the dates or the deal for the rest of the year where we can talk about what it costs instead of just keep doing what we were doing and throw another, $500 billion, $1.5 trillion total all across the board. But for the subsidies, it's like, hey, that's not a good way to make policy.
The nonpartisan Kaiser Family Foundation estimates, a 114% increase in premiums for these people on the ACA marketplaces. And I'll read you a quote from a member of Congress that said, "Not a single Republican in leadership talked to us about this or has given us a plan to help Americans deal with their health insurance premiums doubling." Sounds like a Democratic member of Congress is actually Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene of your party.
Well, here's all I have to say is, so tell me how keeping those in place just the way they are is going to lower healthcare costs. Now, it may be those 25,000 people get to stay on the plan, but anybody who likes what their healthcare, we need to talk about what is driving healthcare costs. And you know who needs to be at the table for that? Because they're making a ton of money, which is okay, but they got skin in the game. That should be those insurance companies that are getting those subsidies. So that's a long-winded way of saying we need to get the people at the table who are driving those costs, and nobody is excused from attendance. So just to shovel those things back in like nothing ever happened and that they were all legitimate and righteous in every instance is probably not a fact.
You said in that press call last week that I referenced something along the lines of, you don't believe fundamentally that the federal government should be in the business of offering health care.
Well, here's the deal. Look at the Google what the federal government spends money on. You know what? And I might have said it in the call. Are we a health insurance company with a Department of Defense attached over here? Because about 35% of every federal dollar spent, directly or indirectly, is on healthcare. Some of it's subsidies for the Affordable Care Act. Some of it's Medicaid. Some of it's, a whole bunch of stuff. 35% of every federal dollar. And they come about, well, we shouldn't be spending this on defense. It's like, well, that's an argument for a different day. But it's like defense is 13%. Interest on the debt is 13%. Healthcare is bigger than both of those put together. And so it's like, well, if the reason that we have Washington, D.C. and a Congress and all these agencies and whatever is because we're all about healthcare in the United States as a function of what we spend our money on, then it's time we start saying that and saying, listen, that's our job. We're supposed to be here to provide healthcare for as many people in America as we can. And it's like, well, at least we can have an honest discussion then. But I got to tell you, we're close. We're a health insurance company with the Department of Defense attached and paying the debt on money we're borrowing.
There's a bipartisan bill that would allow members of the military to get paid during the shutdown.
Love to vote yes on it. Tell me when we're going to vote on it, and I'll be there, anticipating you.
So you do, okay. And how come you're not listed as a sponsor? Or?
Well, I don't know. They didn't ask me.
Okay, but you do support that legislation.
Okay, I get a chance to vote to pay the troops right now.
Yeah,
I'm there.
Okay,
and the other federal workers too.
As we know, members of Congress do get paid during the shutdown. Some donate that pay or maybe don't accept it. What's your stance on that? Do you take your pay during a shutdown?
Well, I haven't before. Of course, none of them have ever gone long enough to where you had to. But what we're doing right now is saying, okay, The people who are being victimized by this are federal workers, troops, DOD folks. Let's see who in our district directly does relief for federal workers and the troops, and then I'm going to make donations to those folks.
Okay.
It's like, well, the only thing I can do is constitutionally they have to pay you. So the question is, what are you going to do with it? It's like, well, we're gonna put what extent I can, either to my staff, troops, or other federal workers.
Do you support changing that law so that there isn't pay?
No, I support changing the law so that you can't shut down. They don't do anything.
Yeah.
And I come by that honestly. I voted for 3 way back. Nothing changes from the beginning to the end. Nobody ever cries uncle. It's like they don't work. So the anti-deficiency portion that says you can't spend money you don't have, they just need to make shutdowns unless it's a very, very limited thing. And I'm not even sure I should say that. But I'd love to see a bill that says no more shutdowns. Here we are, all tied up in a knot. The only people that we're sure are going to suffer right now are people who had nothing to do with it. Makes perfect DC sense, doesn't it?
In that press call with the Congressman Emmer last week, he said that Democrats are trying to fund illegals, using his word there, on taxpayer-funded healthcare. You have not raised that talking point. NBC News has said that that's highly misleading. Are you willing to kind of call out people in your own party that are putting this misleading claim out there?
I don't believe NBC News has any more of a grip on the truth than maybe Mr. Emmer's statement. So it's like, we can give you the data that we got. And the problem with this now is the whole talking point culture is you can say whatever you want. I can say whatever I want and look you right in the eye and do it. And it's like, well, that doesn't make it the truth. And so we've tried to the extent like, okay, what's going on? How much are we really spending on healthcare? When does this turn into a pumpkin? The end of the year? I think there is an element of it where they found people where it's like, hey, some of these people are in the country illegally. I think that's true. Now, how many it is or whatever is one of those things like, well, if I need to know that, then we'll get on that the next couple days. And the way we would do it is reach out to Emmer's office, go, what's the basis of your statement? What do you got? And I'm sure they'll have some. It's almost become like polling data. Well, I got a poll that says everybody hates the Republicans for what they're doing. And the Republicans have a poll that says, well, we're doing great and we expect great things in the midterms and people are blaming it on the Democrats. And you're going, no disrespect to the polling industry, but it isn't the science that it used to be 20 years ago.
Well, I don't know if we need to reach out to Emmers because it says, the disputes really dealing with people that are considered lawfully present. They are not illegal immigrants. They might be deferred action for childhood arrivals, DACA. They're not illegal immigrants.
I'm happy to reach out to them and say, what's the basis of your statement? And provide it to you.
Okay. We'll look forward.
And then you can talk to the folks at NBC and, whatever.
Okay. We'll look forward to hearing back what you hear from Congressman Emmer's office.
Well, and because my staff is working, just like we were during COVID, we'll get you that.
All right.
And Emmer's staff is working too, so we should be able to get to the bottom of that for you.
All right. Congressman Mark Amodei, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for your patience.
Another thank you to Representative Mark Amodei for coming by the studio Friday. We'll be back in your feeds with our regularly scheduled episode on Wednesday. If you made it to the end of this episode, I really appreciate it. If you have guest ideas, episode ideas, questions, comments, compliments, concerns, shoot me an email. I want to hear from you. My email is bjmargiot, MARGIOTT @sbgtv.com, and put Ballot Battleground Nevada in the subject line. And please leave a rating and a review if you've enjoyed this show. That helps the podcast show up higher in searches so more people can find us. Thanks for listening.